I used to have a friend. We went out one day and one of my friends that is a guy met her with her. They started dating. But she later came and told me that I'm dating this guy, but I don't like him. I want to break up with him. Said, it's too gentle. If I shout, you say, I'm sorry. I just wanted to just wake up one day and just punch the hell out of me. I'll be like, why? She's like, her mom used to tell her that if a man loves you, he will correct you.
Voila, deal.
All right, so you're welcome to the hottest show in the land. My name is Adefolami Agumbiade. I'm a public health physician and I'm your host today. So today, in today's session, Looking for Love, we'll be talking about breaking the cycle. Okay? We'll take a look at how childhood trauma affects people's love connections growing up. We'll be talking about how childhood trauma may affect adult relationships and what we can do about it. Okay, so first, we'll be reviewing an article. The article is, so we have an article from June 10th, 2021 by Laurie Lawrence. And the title of the article is How Childhood Trauma May Affect Adult Relationships. So the first line, in more ways than one, childhood trauma can impact adult relationships, yet the challenges don't have to be permanent. With some support, healing is possible. So this article, what are the essential takeaways from the article?
Okay, so I'll just summarize the article, not to read in detail, but the summary is that if you've ever experienced childhood trauma during the first years of your life, then you might look at it and in a certain way. Now, perhaps you don't feel safe all the time, or maybe you face conflict with hesitation or avoidance. These are all natural and valid possibilities. If you are feeling this way or experiencing relationship challenges, know that you are not alone. Is important. Now, a study was done and they discovered that more than 2/3 of children have experienced some form of trauma while growing up. That's according to SAMHSA. Then, around the globe, actually, 1 in 8 adults have reported childhood sexual abuse, and 1 in 4 children have reported physical abuse. That was a 2017 study. So childhood trauma is not uncommon as you might think, and even though it may feel challenging at times, healing is within reach, and along with it, better relationship and a higher quality of life. So let me bore you the article. That was just the headline.
So you can go read up more of the article. The article is on Psych Central. It's by Laurie Lawrence, published 10th of June 2021. It's an article, you can take a look at it. I mentioned earlier before we started the show that we've had people come on the show, particularly, and when they show up on the show, you would hear statements like, "I cannot trust any man because my father beat my mother." All right, it's particularly common. It's particularly common across Africa, because in other countries, violence is also common, but you have like the usual services. If people are fighting, before you know it, they've dialed the police. In Nigeria, you've had cases in which people call police stations. When they get to police stations, the police will tell them to go home and go and settle their matter. So a lot of people pass through this. I'll give a particular story. I had a friend, and I think I mentioned this on the previous show. I had a particular friend, a lady who she grew up very, very attached to her dad. She loved her dad to death. All right. But the dad was a serial womanizer. You know when you say someone is a philanderer, the dad
Philanthropist.
If it was possible for the dad to toast her friends, the dad would toast her friends.
Wow.
It was that kind of so. But she loved that dad. The man was there are some people that you would enjoy their company. They will make you laugh. They would dance with you. So she loved that about her father. But she just realized that her dad was not faithful to the mom. So all throughout the time in which she entered into dating relationships, I still recall she was dating a particular guy, and the guy said that I think the guy said at that time that he's faithful, and she just started laughing. Because as far as she was concerned, men cannot be faithful. But in her words, her father, who she loved, who is like the best man alive, sleeps around. So you are now saying, she said, you don't have money. If you have money, you understand? So whether I like you or not, some of those childhood experiences kind of like they set themselves up as standards things people go through in childhood, all right, becomes the standard for their experiences. A second story, I had a particular, while I was a student, there was a particular apartment I lived in. It was meant for students, but a married couple moved in at some point. And then at one particular time, the wife wanted to, I will never forget that day. It was, I think probably was a day of the week, maybe Thursday or Friday. And I'm sure what I want to say, some of you have experienced it. So the wife got into an argument with someone on the street. I think maybe she was wearing like a gown. And then she told the person on the street that, wait, I'm coming. So she went inside. I went to go and change into jeans. So she wore a jeans. I think, I assume, I don't know. I didn't see her when she was dressing up. But I assume she wore a jeans bomb shorts. Then on top of it, wore a jeans trouser. Then wore a jeans shirt. And then wore a top. And came out to come and fight. And as she was fighting the other person on the street, I was telling the husband that your wife is fighting on the street too, that she should go and settle. The husband came outside and told the wife that if they should beat her, he will see what he will do. That he must finish them. So there are people who come, I've had to have conversations, particularly with men. Okay, I had conversation with men who are afraid to go home because their wives beat them. Right? There was a particular man also I was talking to, and the man said, one of the things he said, and this was, I think, as far back as 2013, he mentioned that his wife comes from this family. In fact, he said his wife is always saying the statement, "Elem Luma last." So if you are dating a girl, and the girl is telling you, "Elem Luma last," just know that. So the wife would, so some people come from that family, which if you have not woken up in the morning, and you guys have gone like one round of fighting, you have not started the day. And these things affect us. So that's an act to start out today's show. So this is the question right now. So does anybody have any response to that article? Do Nigerians experience childhood trauma? Or what these people are calling childhood trauma is just normal growing up in Lagos?
Yeah, it's just growing up in Lagos.
To some people.
So to do somebody who
To
has...
some people. You can't say everybody.
So you are telling me that as far as you are concerned, people do not punch themselves on a normal day?
Like she's saying, it's just normal thing.
No, some people do not know that
it's normal in some
They
parts
just
of
feel
Lagos.
like-
Exactly.
Okay,
Why for some people
okay, state your position and then let's see if she will disagree. So Bulu Atife.
What I'm saying is some people do not actually believe that they are going through trauma. They just believe that
The way of life.
that's just the way they were bred. Like they grew up that way. So they just feel like it's normal.
By trauma, what do you mean by trauma?
Trauma is just, to me, it's just some events that happened
That
before
traumatized.
that reflects back, like kind of reflects back to your brain after it has happened, and it affects you in a way that there are some people that do not know that it affects them, but there are some people that knows that it affects them, because some people used to get depressed.
You are speaking in very theoretical terms that people. Okay, so let me ask you right now: if you have someone's father beating the person's mother, is that trauma? That's just another day in our life.
It might be for the kids.
Okay, you say you don't agree with her.
Like she's...
Let's pick it one by one right now. So one of the things mentioned in this particular article, all right, is domestic violence. Okay, domestic violence meaning that both parents are beating each other, because there are some people who it's the woman that is beating the man, and the man cannot say it outside because people will say, "Are you not the man?" And then he goes home, they beat him again. All right, so domestic violence. So let's pick domestic violence right now. Is that, without castigating, is there anybody here who has grown up in an environment in which people beating themselves is a normal thing?
I grew up like that.
You grew up in that kind of environment?
Yeah.
Okay, I will tell you a story now to open up the cycle in domestic violence. I had someone in school when I was in university. The guy was dating a girl. And I'm sure if the guy is watching this, I won't mention it, but if he's watching this, he will know he's the one I'm talking about. And the girl he was dating, when they got into fights, he would start punching her. And I always wonder that when we heard about it, he was very wealthy. This was one of the guys who, I think back then, he drove the latest version of the car he was driving. He was driving a Toyota. It was that year's Toyota. His father was a politician. The father had a filling stations in the state that they lived in. So he was extremely wealthy. So the girlfriend he had back then, each time they go into a car, he would beat her. And when you try to stop him from beating her, you know what he will tell you? He will say that he needs to beat her, that it's no big deal. After all, his dad beats his mom. I met somebody who knew his mother, and the person was telling me that we got talking. The person was telling me about that politician. It was caught to him, said that there are times in which he will meet the woman and say, Alaja, what happened to you? The woman said that she accidentally ran into the wall. Or she was getting out of the shower and she slipped there and hit her head on the toilet sink. All manner of ridiculous. And he knew that it was, but the guy was a very, very strong person. The father was, do you understand? So he saw it happen with his mom and his dad. And he saw it as a normal thing that if you love your wife, when she misbehaves, you have to teach her a lesson. I have met ladies also who, if they are dating a guy and they fight and the guy does not beat them, they feel the guy does not love them.
Yeah.
Someone came on this show and mentioned that. You were here when the lady
I have
mentioned.
a friend like that.
I think I can. Yeah.
A lady that she broke up with someone because when they go into court, the guy is not. If he cannot undo me, if people outside we are fighting, this one, if fight starts outside, and I'm telling that, where's my husband? My husband, he will have taken off and start running. You get, so that's one. That's domestic violence. There's sexual abuse. We'll get sexual abuse. So you said you were about to say something. We'll come back to your story, but let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, a couple of not personal experience, but I saw this. I lived in the
Face me, I face you.
okay.
You live in yard.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So growing up, so I saw some of those things play out, and growing up, while I got into universities, I still saw. So I felt it's a normal thing in areas, in remote area, it happens. So when I see it happen in remote areas, I don't
see any big deal.
Yes, I don't see big deal because over and over it plays out in the yard, and let me just mention, there's a man, we call the man Father. So happens to smoke, bow their dead, and always on Skodo. So I'm giving a practical example. So the man gets to sit there in the yard, and at some point in time we just hear back, and we play ball in the compound. So we just take the ball, and it's a normal routine. Sometimes at night, so it happens. So I consider it not personally that I indulge in such acts. I don't. But if I see it happening, I know it's domestic violence, and it should be at every possible best you try to avoid or preach against it. But it's a normal thing for me. If I see it happen,
just mind your business.
Yes, I just walk away. I don't bother to. Because it's something I have seen play over and over. Now, the second of it is, I have a guy, a friend of mine, and the girlfriend tends to frustrate the guy, and the guy is a very gentle and very handsome guy. So sometimes the girlfriend...
I hope you're not talking about yourself.
No, I'm not talking about myself. But I can't call the person's name because the person has been on the show.
He has been on the show.
The particular lady has been on the show, although she didn't... Since we weren't talking about topic that reflected that, so we never delved into that conversation. But I see the guy is calm, and then I got talking to her. I said, sometimes he now appreciate, because if it were to be another guy, she would have received battered, and the guy would have bastardized her face. And then she wonders that, what kind of guy is this one? Like maybe 3 weeks ago, I went, because it's my close pal. I went into his room. I saw everywhere water on the ground. The chair was scattered. And I was smiling. I knew that something has happened. But I just... So when it happened twice, 3, and I saw it play out.
What happened?
I don't know. They had
an argument.
Yes, I don't know. Okay. But the lady, I engaged her in conversation, and so that I will fast forward. So I met the guy's mom so that you don't say, when this was happening, were there no friends around that? Hey, these are what instigates domestic violence come future.
I don't understand the story you just told.
Okay, I'm just trying to fast forward.
Is it that the guy and the lady fought?
The guy pinned the guy. The lady pinned the guy that he would not go out. And as happened, and the guy at some point, he got pissed, and while the lady was holding on to her, he pushed the girl, and there was a cover, like, I don't know what they call it, maybe a reservoir for, I've forgotten the name that they call it, a chamber. So when he pushed the lady,
Hit her head.
Yes, no, not her head, but she just fell towards the chamber. And I was so bad that, Eleo showed me that this won't happen. So I moved. I was with my girlfriend, so I moved with her that, it was maybe like...
You don't want to be there when police show up.
I've not seen the guy in such, but he got so pissed that, what's wrong with you now? And it was around nightfall. So I just moved away that, this one no go. I don't want to. So the guy, it happened again. So when it happened and friends were there, and it was like, he would not go out. And I recollect that if this thing goes on, at some point the guy will be frustrated, and maybe he has an appointment to meet, and you are stopping him from going out. Reasons best known to you. So I went to the mother that, these are the things that would cause domestic violence if peradventure they get married.
They don't address it.
I think you should call I think the guy is crazy in love, and or because he's taking it very gentle. He's a person that if I mention him, you would know. He's a lady that if I mention him, you know. You might not physically know the guy, but if I mention...
Let's not mention their name.
Okay, so...
Well, we've gotten the gist of your conversation. So in their dating relationship...
How many years?
And the girl was like, I don't know why. The guy's too gentle. Maybe that's why I take advantage of
him.
Exactly. So that's just the whole story.
We'll come back into the conversation. You were about to say something much earlier.
I used to have a friend then. She's not that very calm, but she's a calm type. But she says she will never date somebody that is gentle. Like, she wants someone to just, if she goes wrong, just slap her. It's funny, but she say, I cannot date this guy. He's too gentle. So we went out one day, and one of my friends that is a guy met her with her, collected her number, and they started dating behind my back. So she later came. She not them that they were dating, but she later came and told me that I'm dating this guy, but I don't like him. I want to break up with him. I was like, why? She said, he's too gentle. If I shout, he say I'm sorry. I just wanted to just wake up one day and just punch the hell out of me. I'll be like, why? She's like, her mom used to tell her that if a man loves you, he will correct you.
Deals.
All right, so we have that. So we have that story. Are they still dating now?
No.
They broke up.
She's dating one kind rugged guy. That's her dream man, actually.
The guy is like, she's dating an Agbero.
Not really an Agbero, but
He'll be smoking at me.
educated touts.
Educated out. Okay, so she's dating a thug. All right, so we have that particular experience. Okay, that's the reason why this matters is because in this particular case now, in that story you just told us, she found somebody who most women would say they want a man who can apologize.
Seriously.
Right? How many women say they want men that will apologize to them? If you want a man that will apologize to you, raise up your hand. If you want a man,
I think Esther wants the opposite.
If you want a man that will be using a boju for you, raise up your hand. Your friend that you mentioned in this story now, if we brought her here and we asked her, do you want a man that will apologize to you and be kind to you and gentle with you, will she raise up her hand?
No.
Right.
I'm not sure.
So those are some of the things that confuses men. Well, on a side note, on that particular, I just want to mention this right now. There's a reason why that girl probably goes for those kind of guys. Because most times, I'm just on a side note, a lot of women want to date guys, the thug, that the guy is a thug to everybody, but she's the one that can handle him. Yes. If you think about it, when he's outside there, he can beat everybody, but when he comes in and she talks to him, she can calm him down. No. They want to tame
the good bad guy.
They want to tame the good bad guy or the bad good guy. You know, that's, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, sure. So that's why on this show we advocate that if you are too gentle with the people you are dating, right, they'll just use your heart to play ping pong. But that aside, I'll tell you another story. Also back to childhood trauma. I had again, the classmate who dated a girl. Okay. And the guy broke up with the girl. So he came back, he just told the girl that, I'm no longer doing. And the way he breaks up, there are some men, if they want to break up with you, they would have been telling you over time that I don't see us working, but let's see. So they'll be telling you for like 3 months. So by the day they break up, you yourself will be like, well, I saw it coming. This particular guy, if he breaks up with the girl, he will just walk up to her and tell her, it was nice knowing you. That's the end. It was nice. So you guys were dating yesterday. It was nice knowing you. Things are over. Please pack whatever things, your toothbrush or anything you have left in my toilet and get out of my apartment. That was me. So he did that and left the girl and came to school. Which is also the reason why if you want to break up with people, do not break up with people in your house. And then he got a phone call from the house that they said his house is on fire. So he got back home. The guy was one of those guys who used to wear all these TM Lewin Thomas pink shirts. He got into his parlor. The girl had taken all his shirts from inside his wardrobe, put it in the parlor on the rug, poured kerosene on it, and set it on fire. So the guy, he ran into the bathroom to quickly get water to pour out the fire. That's how I noticed that his bathtub was filled with water. So I'm just narrating this story. I'm trying to be visual now. As I was trying to take the bucket, I wasn't there, but I'm narrating. I was trying to take the bucket out of the bathtub to put out the fire. You notice that at the bottom of the bathtub was his PlayStation. She had soaked it inside. You understand? You get me? So the point is this. In that particular, that is not domestic violence. But that, what would you call that?
It's violence.
It's
properties are being
destroyed. The lady probably knows that she cannot handle the guy, so she would destroy things that will pain him.
Technical violence.
And there are people who grew up with those kind of households. There are people who grew up in houses in which if you offend them, they will take your things and go and hide it. So that you now start looking for it. Maybe they take your charger, they'll go and hide your charger, you'll be looking for it. And then they'll take your phone. All right, break the SIM and put it back inside. The phone will not you understand? There are people like that. Okay, so the conversations we are having today, okay, is, and I want us to be honest because I can't believe that in this entire panel that were seated, all of you are the good guys. Everybody is good guys. So we can just end the show then. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for coming. It was nice having you. In these things we mentioned, we haven't spoken about sexual trauma. We probably may get there, depending on the way to come. But is there anybody here who, if you look at yourself, or if you look at somebody close to, maybe if you look at your sister, because we will talk about yourself. If you look at your sister or so, you have those signs and you feel that this stuff is going to get in the way of getting lasting connection.
Yes, actually. Like, going back to
you
childhood.
cannot paint yourself as the hero in this story you want to tell.
Not at all.
Okay, so let's hear Tosin's story.
Yeah, I'm actually going back to the childhood trauma you discussed earlier. Like, I grew up in all this face me, I slap you house. Though all this fighting between couples, like husband and wives, I experienced a lot. But not between my dad and my mom. I'm not trying to say that they are saints. Though they have this argument. Maybe the reason why I've not experienced with them because I think my mom is the cool type. My mom, anytime my dad talks, she tends to like just keep quiet. And my dad doesn't live with us like that. My dad works, I think, in Onitsha at that time. He comes once, maybe like twice in a year. Anytime he comes, we are always cool. But for the neighbors that we live together, I see them fighting. I be like, since I was small, I hated it a lot. Like, why will a man fight with a girl? And that was one of the things I had in my mind. Till today, I will never beat a girl. It's not that I'm trying to be a good guy.
Have you dated a girl?
Very well. Yes. At least 4 girls. I'm telling like 4 girls.
You dated like 4 girls?
Yes. He's being honest now.
Should I lie?
To be lied to.
Who am I trying to impress here? Nobody. So, like, I hated it. Like, and I've experienced it before. Girls trying to stand up at me. I was like, okay, if they leave me and you 1-on-1, you feel beat me. That thing happened, like, in my last relationship. The girl just stood, like, the girl was angry. Okay, I wanted to leave the house. Say, no, we can't leave the house. The girl stood by the door. Like, normally, it's something I can carry you and throw you away. But what did I do? I went back to the house. I sat down on the chair. for like close to 2 hours. The girl was still standing there. Like, the devil will not use me today. I will never beat a girl. Because anytime I see husband beating their wives, I'll be like, why? What was this? I always call any man that beat a woman coward. Like, if you know she say it's short for you, go to the ring, go and meet your fellow man and fight. That's why, as I said earlier, I'm an educator. Anytime I see a boy fighting with a girl in class, I'll be like, no, this should not happen. I always console the boy by saying, how will we be fighting with someone that water has not touched her hair for like this? So you should not fight with a woman. Like, brother, if yes, that's the truth now.
No, what you have said now, there's an issue with what you said
there's
right
a flip side.
There's an issue what you said. You mentioned a flip side, but the issue is this. She just told you, Boloatfe just told us in this show that she has a friend who dated the guy and broke up with the guy because the guy was too gentle. You get, so how do you strike that balance? The conversations we are having, because the person who sent the WhatsApp message I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the lady mentioned that there are some people who they are damaged from childhood and they go out in the dating marketplace. I don't see it on their forehead. It's not as if you see it or written on anybody's head that if you date me, I'll destroy your life.
It's not.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you just get to find out in the process of the life being destroyed. You get, and some of those guys, once they experience the pain and the hurt, they'll carry the pain and the hurt, and they'll go and start sharing it out also. So how do you reconcile that now? Because if you are dating a friend
that wants me to beat her,
exactly,
I won't beat her.
She's frustrating.
Yes, because
Very, very.
I think we are different people, like humans. Like, you can't tell me if you are dating, I must beat you to show that I love you or to show superiority. No, it does not work that way. And if she insists on that, I would rather break up with her, because me as a person, that's what I've decided in my life. I will never beat a girl.
And if you love her so much,
I will leave her, bro.
You don't have people to beat her for you.
Okay, or else I want to just play around with her. If I genuinely love her, I know any lady I genuinely love, I will never be such a lady.
Why you are playing around with her? She might be jacking you too now. Why you are playing?
So that's it. Before such a relationship, just know what you guys want. If I know I want you for sex, I tell you, sister, is this so?
You can't come out clean to a girl.
Why not?
She wouldn't get into the relationship with you now. Okay. Let me.
I've tried it before and it worked. Yes.
That okay.
Ladies
Okay,
love
you
guys that are sincere.
So
Yes.
wait. So
I will not say it in
you have opened a new door
Ladies
now.
in the house. You
You
like
have opened a new door
guys
now. You are saying
Yes.
now. So you are saying.
I think it's
Please let me clarify. Listen, you are saying there's nobody that will say they don't like anybody who is sincere. Even the devil is sincere now. So yes, we're not talking the conversation. You just open the door now. You are saying, and that door you will open there. You want to. You just said now that you will walk up to a girl and tell her up front that at the beginning of the relationship that this relationship is just sex. So it's not
just
going
define
anywhere.
it, but I won't say it that's plain that it's sex.
Okay.
I will say it.
And then you are
Come for
coming back
lecture.
to my angle.
I want in my bed.
Is that what you say?
Like, okay, for example, I will tell the girl, okay, yeah, babe, I have a girlfriend.
Yes.
And yes, and I want you to be what? No string attached. If you know you're ready for it. I'm not trying to make you look
Obviously,
cheap.
friend benefits.
Or yes, of course, friend benefits.
Like,
Like,
see the way Joy is folding her
you're
hands.
shocked. Yeah, that's it. I feel it's better than acting
My
good.
brother.
Like,
I'm
yes,
the guy.
cause
They will say no.
they will say yes. But not all the time. Actually, not all the time. It's not an 100% thing. Sometimes it can be like 40, 60 or 50-50. Yes, I'm talking from experience, though. Not a bad experience actually, but I've done it before. I have people that have done it before. I always say, guys, be sincere with this guy. Why are you lying, bro? We all know you want sex. Tell the girl. If the girl go agree, she go agree. If no one agree, she go agree. She no go agree. Me like this, as I said, if you want to enter a relationship with the girl, because I always tell it, I cannot date a girl that is a virgin. Yeah, that's bitter truth. I know religiously we are fornicating. I know we are fornicating. But don't tell me you want to enter a relationship and let's wait for 5, 6 clinic. Why are you waiting? Are we going to do this thing or we are not going to do it? So if you are not going to do it, just let me know. Yes, and if you say no, move away.
So
I will say
basically,
talk to you.
You've taken us off tangents.
Yes, because
So
of the
you are
questions
telling
coming.
me, you are telling me right now that for you, relationships are you dating anybody right now presently?
Maybe. Yes, maybe.
If you are the one
And
that
I'm dating
Tosin
person
is
and person is
dating,
not dating me.
if you are the one that Tosin is dating, please, you just said on this show that maybe. You know what? Tosin is trying to hedge his bets that there are lots of pretty ladies.
No.
I have to be.
I don't do that.
You don't do that. Okay. You just told us. Anyway, but the point is this. Okay, so in this story right now, you have mentioned that there's nothing you will do that will make you to beat a woman. All fun and good.
Let me ask some couple of questions. She has said something, he has said something. I want to hear from the three girls there. Do you have experience with it, or you know somebody and that has experience with it? Because I know a friend who grew up in Ajegunle. Like the guy said that, in fact, it's a normal thing when they are passing to be hearing that the father is beating the mother on the streets. They beat themselves to the streets, and everybody just passing like it's normal thing. It's not. So do you guys have experiences with it, or you know somebody? I'm asking three of you. That she actually. Or you know somebody?
Yes, I know someone. And actually, she works in a place where I work too. So she told me about her relationship. And she was like, a guy, she works in an hotel. So she's always having issue with the guy. And this guy knows that this is where you are working. This is where the lady is working. And yet they are still having arguments. So anytime the girl is at work, the guy is always calling, always disturbing. And this work where she's working, it was this guy that helped the lady. So I don't know, why is he now having arguments with the girl? Not even arguments, he's always beating the girl sometimes. And again, the girl is staying with his family. Like they are staying together. So even the lady's family too, the guy's girlfriend is staying with his family. That is the guy's family.
Okay.
So they are not flowing along. The woman don't like the girl. Even the guy too. And she told me that she's the one doing everything. Like she prepares food.
For the family?
She used to bring money home. So she told me that the guy's mother, at first, the guy's mother was flowing along with her, but she don't know, all of a sudden everything just stopped.
Is she a wife?
Actually, that's the most annoying part though. A girlfriend though, and they are staying together. She's living with the family. You know when she was saying it, I was like, no, as if she does not even. She don't agree. Like if you call her a wife, like the guy's wife, if you address her as your husband, I be your wife. She will tell you, no, I'm his girlfriend.
But she's staying in the family house now.
I don't know. And the worst part is that this guy, anytime the girl is at work, you know, the woman she lost 2 of her customers just because of this guy's attitude.
A rich customer.
Yes.
Okay.
Like when she's working.
Can we bring it back full circle, right? So in this story now, are you saying that it's the issues she had as a child that made her start dating the guy?
I don't even know.
Okay, so that doesn't apply to the conversation.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is it that they threw her out of her house?
No, she said she wanted to change, she wanted to change location. So that was why she came to Lagos. And unfortunately, and she's the type that she does not move along with married man. She said she loves singles, and the single that she's now with, she's now facing more than. Even the married one.
Just open the door.
The married one that she met was taking care of her. As she was like, if I know, I should just end this relationship and go back to this married man. Because this man...
I don't understand this your story, I'm confused.
It's actually for fun.
It's still the domestic stuff I'm talking about.
Okay, she's talking, there's a physical abuse.
Yes, like the guy is always beating her. Despite the fact that he's taking care of her.
Okay, so what you tell me now, let me get you now. I'm trying to get your story.
Okay.
You told us now that you have someone who work in the same place. She doesn't like flowing with married men.
At all.
So she dates single men.
Exactly.
Even though she had a married man that was taking care of her. That's contradictory. She has
what she's trying to say, she has in the past
dated
a married
man in the past.
Exactly.
And so for you, it's not a big deal. Because the way you said it, she doesn't like dating, flowing with married men. It's not a big deal for you. Dating married men is no big deal now for you. Really.
Yeah, it is. I can't deal with it.
That's what you just said.
No.
Right? Okay, so
there's something I wanted to say.
There's something I want to ask Islamia. I have a question for you. Are you a Muslim or Christian?
You don't
That
know.
religion part is complicated.
Okay, your
It
mom
should be a
is
straightforward yes or no. Or what
think-
religion do you practice?
I'm a Christian now.
Okay,
now.
when
Don't
did you
change
become
it.
one?
I'm a Muslim before, so.
When did you?
Before Salah, before the Maybe. Yeah, I wanted to say, like, we've had problems and all these things we've been discussing are issues that they've been here for a very long time. It's not as if we just started it, decades. And some of these guys, like in his own story, I believe that they are still together. In your own story, I believe they are still together.
They are still together.
And I believe in your own story, they are still together.
Ooh.
Your
Your
friend
friend
that
is
likes,
dating a thug.
Yeah.
they're still together. So,
Planning something serious.
and
And they
except from
to beat each other too.
Serious beating.
so in those
Wow.
scenarios, I think because I believe that there's somebody that will watch this stuff and it's probably in that shoe, like probably in the guy's shoe, who the girlfriend is giving problem, or in your shoe, who has a friend that is attached to a guy that is beating him.
His girlfriend.
Yeah. So there's something they call Stockholm syndrome. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like you are attached to your predator.
So your abuser.
Yeah, so you are abused or something like that, and it's difficult to advise again in love actually. So in those kind of scenario, how do we? Because of course, at the end of the day, there should be a practical solution. So how do we? Since the people are not you, so suppose it was you. How will you advise yourself?
If I
Can I
was
say what
the
she
one-
told me, what she's going to do?
Of course.
Okay, she actually said she's going to, like, anything the guy tell her to do, she's going to do it. Like, but she's not going to marry him and she's not going to allow the guy know. Do you
Then why
understand?
is she not in the relationship?
She's going to do anything. Like, just for her to gather money so she can stay on her own.
Oh,
So you get.
Okay,
So
now
She's going to
she said
play
she's
along.
exactly.
She
She's
has
going
a
to
long-
play along
Okay.
till she's able to stay on her own.
Okay, so Mr. Yours, they are enjoying their own. It's not as if. I think, Mr. AY, suppose it was you. And I know your friend is somehow dissatisfied with the relationship and all that. So how do you think?
All right. Okay. Because the question is still going to come around, and I would advise, because we have guests, we can open floor for questions so that they can feel free to answer. To not that we are trying to box ourselves and not answer the question. That's why I'm going to answer the question now. Okay. So he got talking with the girl. I told him personally that you need to address this, and then because it's best that when you talk to a person, watch out the behavior of the person. Don't just say because they said, okay, I'll concur, and then at the long run the person is acting otherwise. So you need to state your terms, because I, as a person, if I would get into a relationship, these are the things that I would make known to my partner on no condition, because it is inevitable. You have arguments as humans. Even the closest, your tongue and your teeth, at some point you gnash each other and you stop talking. So this is what I would do to my partner. I tell her that on no condition, when we have issues and I'm trying to step away from the situation, please don't obstruct. Don't stand in the way, because I might lose control, which I don't want to. It's not advisable for a guy to lay hand on the... So I told the guy that please get talking, because this, at some point, I've seen you eat her or push her. And well, you didn't want to do that. It must have gotten to you. That's why, because I've not seen you over the years that I've known you. I've not done such. And if you can do that, at some point, you get frustrated again. And then you might want to, and God forbid, by pushing her, she might hit her head on the wall. And it's a problem already, because no one wants to know that she has been obstructing. So you had better get talking with this issue. To put it straight, please get talking to her and try to understand each other if it can work. If not, exit the relationship, because you can think you know the lady and then at some point you don't know each other. So that was the candid advice I gave to the guy. And if I am in that shoe too, like I said, I would tell the girl,
you exit the relationship.
I would tell the girl, this is what, before we even get talking, I don't want this. I don't want this. Can you do that? If you can, and we give it a watch, because issues will happen. And if she's not complying to that, if she's a type that will obstruct me, there's fire on the mountain. So he says it. I exit that because domestic violence at some point it leads to death.
So in your own case, your advice to them is for them to leave.
Yes.
So, Mr.
If they can't work a way around it, a permanent solution around it, or a working solution, the advice is
He
please
already
leave.
have his own. He also mentioned that
He said
he sat down for 2 hours when it was a similar situation.
Yes.
start out for 2 hours.
Of course.
At some point, you
Not
get pissed.
everybody has that patience actually,
Patience.
but
You run out of it one someday. Yeah,
maybe, but
it's not a maybe stuff.
no. Yes, actually, at
You
the
have a
point,
peak.
Before I ran out of it, I would have broken up.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes.
so in summary, the two conversations you have is you exit the relationships.
Yes, if
I
it's
exit.
too much.
Well,
Concerning the lady you mentioned, I wanted to hear their perspective, like these people's perspective. Suppose she was your friend, the girl that was courting with the boy, cohabiting with the boyfriend, and the boyfriend because there is wisdom, like we say, in everyday people. So I believe there's somebody here that's going through that stuff, watching. That's going through that stuff. So what would you suppose it was your friend? She was your friend.
Well, to me, like since she has an advantage in the relationship, she's getting an advantage, which is a house. So she can
And house is
continue.
expensive, abi?
No,
Continue.
because that's what she. It's just like that's what she wants in the relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
just a roof over her head. So till she
No
can
peace of
get
mind.
Yeah.
before she can get a house or maybe someone better, she can just continue if that's what she
What if she
wants.
get pregnant along the line?
No peace
But
of
that's the
mind.
problem. Because to me, if it's me, I cannot be in such situation. But if I find myself in such situation, I will leave.
Wait,
I'd rather be in my father's house than be in a guy's house and be beating
but
me.
your
on
father
it.
is in village now.
I will go back to the village. Maybe that's where they gave birth to me and trained me.
So
She
you
can
had
endure too.
something you wanted to say.
Okay. At first, when I got admission into Yabatek, I just decided on my own that I'm no longer staying with my parents. So I was like, okay, where can I stay? And Yabatek to Ikorodu, it's some offer. And I don't have any other place to stay around Ikorodu to Yabatek except my boyfriend's place. So I was like, no, I cannot stay in my boyfriend's place. So I had to move with my cousin, staying at Agbado Jai, that's Ogun State. So I told my mom, I cannot stay with you again. I don't know what got into me. I just told that I cannot stay with her anymore. But I can't also stay in my boyfriend's place. It's a no-no for me. So I have to move down to Agbado Jai. I don't know if any of you know Agbado Jai.
It's on the map. Don't worry, just continue.
Okay. So from my cousin's place at Agbado Jai, because my lecture is, I did a part-time program, which is Saturday and Sunday, biz admin, Saturday and Sunday. So from Agbado Jai, I go to school Saturday and Sunday. Though at first it was not convenient for me. It was not convenient at all. But at the long run, I got to meet one of my customers. So when I told her about my issue, she now said, okay, she discussed it with her husband. And now, her husband now said, I can move in with them here in Ikorodu. So it was their place I was staying till I graduated. So if she can, maybe she had any of her relatives staying around Ikorodu here, it is better for her to move out of that relationship. Because number one, they are using her. They are benefiting from her.
She's using them too now. She's not paying us rent.
She's not. Because
Okay,
at first, number one, the guy we had sex with
Exactly.
her.
The guy is even using that sex of a thing to disturb us.
Almost all the time.
She's
But they're
enjoying
both
it.
enjoying it.
Yes, now they're enjoying
No,
it.
no,
now.
no. She too. We have sex with the guy.
Yes.
If I'm sleeping with someone, you're not enjoying it.
She's even enjoying it.
I know they both enjoy it.
Well, continue.
Confirm.
Let's know.
But
The guy is enjoying more. We know.
Can we allow her to just
I know they are both
walk
enjoying
through her
it.
thoughts?
But as a lady, you have to have your dignity.
Yeah.
A man that is not married to you, that you do not say yes on the altar together, you are not supposed to move in with him.
Preach on,
You
sister.
can go for the weekend, like,
Preach on,
okay,
sister.
maybe I'll go for just for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. Then you move back to your parent house. There is more respect. But when you move in with him without nothing there, without going to the hotel or something, I'm so sorry. They are using He is using her, taking advantage of her situation.
Well, listen, I would, let me come in here because we've had this conversation and we have drifted. All right, we have drifted off course. There's something which we have lost sight of, and that's what I've been trying to bring our minds to. There is something in people's heads that puts them in situations in abusive situations. And that's why I took interest in her story about her friend. Buluwatife mentioned that she had a friend who was dating a guy that was taking good care of her. And she left that guy to deal with a thug. Educated thug. So that's what we are having. And she's fighting with the educated thug. She would prefer to be with someone she fights with rather than with somebody that would say, I'm sorry. You understand? So, and whether I like you or not, when you go into a dating relation, you will meet people like that. You will meet people that will break up with you because they have issues from their childhood. You understand me? And you also, if you're not careful, if you don't pay attention to yourself, you probably would end relationships with people. Or you will start relationships with people because of something wrong in your childhood. You understand? You hear that statement in which you say that two people who are abusive, if they like, they should travel anyway. If they get into a church or whatever, they will find themselves inside the church. They will see good people. They will not see them. They will find themselves and hook themselves up.
Yeah.
You understand? So that's the conversation we are having. And we're not talking about what other people have to do. We're talking about what are the things in our own childhood that can create problems in getting into relationships or in sustaining relationships. That's the way the conversation is going.
Okay, well,
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand what you're. I have an experience. Let me. My parents. Yeah. Let me say, my daddy is the first and only person my mommy dated before they get married. So, in the relationship now, my mommy is now noticing some characters that, to me, they are not endurable. But it's not like he beats her or anything. It's just his character. There are some kind of things that he does. You'll be like, is this even a husband? But she's still in the relationship there and just saying she's enjoying everything for her children. So now, because of that scenario now, I cannot, if I enter a relationship, I will notice his character. And if he's giving me any character that I cannot endure, I will leave it. Because I feel
you have to be specific about what character is. Because one man's meat is another man's poison. It may be possible that in your story right now, the character you're saying, if you sit down and throw it out in public, you may find out that your dad is the right person.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People have different things that they can endure, and people have different things.
And so, in this particular case, now, what is that one thing? Is it something so terrible that you cannot say?
Okay, no, it's not really that terrible. It's just that my daddy is not like the fun type. Like, he doesn't engage with his family. Like, he goes to work, come back, and he's just always on his own. Me, I don't like that kind of person. Maybe, often my mommy also complains about it, like, he's just always on his own, like, something like, other people might like it. There are some women that they like man that doesn't disturb them, like something like that. But me, I don't like something like that. So if I kind of get into a relationship and I notice that this man is giving me a character that I cannot endure, I think it's better to leave the relationship instead of enduring it and getting into marriage. Then it will be something you cannot endure.
Okay, so in your story right now, in the story you've narrated now, you're saying that the issue that you do not like about your father is the fact that when he goes to work and comes back, he does not engage with anybody.
Yes, he does not engage with, like, and anytime he's around, he's always too harsh. I
have a couple of questions for you.
Well,
all right, because this you can't change your father.
I even love that.
Please hear me. You can't change your father.
Yes.
Whether I like you or not. You did not choose the same way you did not choose your father, you don't get to change him. If your mom has been married with him for how many years have they been married?
I think 30.
If they've been married for over 30 years, your mom cannot change him. you as the child do not get to show up and change him.
Yeah,
However,
I don't want to
I have a
change
couple
my
of
daddy.
questions for you.
Okay.
Do you have food to eat?
That's my question.
Do you have food to eat?
All I'm
Do you
trying
have food to eat?
Yes, I have food to
Promise.
eat.
Do you have a roof over your head?
Yes.
Do you have clothes on your back?
Yes.
I am
Okay,
going to
so
school.
your father, I was saying this. I'm not saying this because I'm a man. I'm saying this because your father may watch this, and you probably will feel that I should defend him. So we'll start out defending him.
Actually.
Okay, so on base of that, your father has played a role. He has played his role as a father.
Yeah.
Okay, on the role of your mom and your dad's relationship, if that is the issue, if there's nothing, if you're not hiding, if that is the issue, have you had conversations with your father to understand exactly why he's like that?
I cannot have a conversation.
No. Listen, hear me. Have you actually taken time out to talk to him? Because I will tell you this. I don't know what your father does, but I will tell you, and I'm talking as someone who has spoken to lots of men. Okay, men who carry responsibilities for their families. I'll tell you this. There are lots of men who are living lives of quiet desperation. You know what quiet desperation means? Let me tell you. There are lots of men who the only reason why they have not killed themselves is because they are wondering that how will my children survive if I die? There are lots of people like that who on a day-to-day basis, they hate the jobs they are doing. They hate the fact that they have to take insults from a boss at work. Okay? They hate the fact that the work they are doing is killing them. But if I don't do this, all right, my children will be out on the streets. I'm telling you, there are men like that. I'm not trying to paint
Yes,
you.
I am
You get
understanding what you're saying.
And for such men like that, one of the best things you probably may have to do for him is try to understand exactly the headache he goes through at work. I will give you a challenge, and I think you should take that challenge up. This is not related to the show. I will give you the challenge is when you get back home today. Okay? If you have time with your father, if he's free over the weekend, sit down and talk to him and ask him about what kind of work he does. Ask him the way his day is. Ask him the difficulty he goes through. Show some interest. Because a lot of people don't. Most of the time, most men who have children who are much older, a lot of times they feel that they are only useful the same way you use a spoon.
Oh, yeah.
You pick it up, you use it to eat, and you put it down, you wash it. Do you understand? I don't know if you get
And
me.
there's the way you can ask him.
We just
Because
have to
what
ask
you
for
are
money
complaining
alone.
about, I can bet you with you. Again, one of the previous shows we uploaded, you can meet a guy. The guy may be fun. We had a psychologist in the studio. He sat down in your chair. You can meet a guy. You may love him. The guy may be the fun guy at the beginning of your relationship. When responsibility starts,
All those
you
comedy.
see, when your friends start to show up, do you know what I mean by your friends?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean by your
children.
friends? You marry a woman and then she starts to deliver her friends.
Yeah, your kids.
Yeah,
When your children show up, because you say my children are my friends, when your friends show up, the guy would have to carry the responsibility, and you realize that by the time he's done carrying the responsibility to keep your friends happy and you happy, he does not have the time to have fun. I'm telling you. So you may end up marrying a fun guy, and then when you guys years into your marriage, the responsibility has taken all the fun out of his life. The same way all of you are looking, you guys are looking, you are good looking, you are well dressed and every single thing. If you go back and look at pictures of your mom at your age,
Yeah, she was.
she probably
very
was
pretty.
very, very pretty.
Yeah.
But it's the bukata of taking care of you
100%.
and supporting you
She's not
that
tying up.
they can't put that. Do you understand?
exactly.
So if that is the issue, are you with me?
Yes.
Because you can't change your father. Do you get me?
So are you saying?
I
that
think
you know,
I
you can't-
have
Sorry, Mr. Ewen.
an
Are you saying that
experience
if
or
you are dating somebody
to share.
and the guy is probably at least to an extent taking care of you and all that, but probably he's quiet, he just comes inside and come. If you call him, let's say, I'll call you back, and he doesn't call you back, you break up with him. He has everything. Of course. Nothing they strict, you better hold him. Are you serious?
Or maybe I was too quick to jump in. Is there anybody who you don't have to agree with me? Is there anybody who understands what she's talking about?
I think if I were in her position, I really I want a dad like that. Though I love my dad too. But my dad, let me just say, I just want him to leave us alone at times.
Yes.
Like, my sister can testify.
Is she your sister?
Nah, that's my sister, Dora. My dad can be very, very dramatic and very overly concerned. Like, he doesn't give us breathing space at all. So I really prefer my dad to be that kind of man that is just
Or will you
alone.
guys swap that?
And actually,
No, because that would be the solution actually.
if I see my dad coming from work and he has
sad.
and he's come back to come and play with us. Baba, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀?
My dad comes back from work. My dad will gist us throughout the night. Even the one that does not concern you. The one that concerns
Well, I guess
like,
this is what we
Okay, let's say what
actually
promise
call
us.
childhood trauma. Because the way my dad is, so I don't like somebody like that. Because the way her dad is now, she likes
No,
the
I
opposite
think.
person.
Sorry, something I want to say. I think you don't like the way it's because your mom told you. If your
Maybe
mom
I
had not
used
been
to see
complaining, the trauma is the trauma that your mom probably put in your head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
You
Yes, now,
mentioned-
if your-
It can be an influence.
You
I
mentioned
was already
something
serious.
now, which I was wondering why it was important to the story. But that single thing you mentioned there, you mentioned that your mom married the first person she dated. And I was wondering why
did you
you
put it?
started out that story with that.
well.
You know
I
about when
think-
sweet at the beginning. Yes.
Because you probably felt that if your mom had married someone else,
No, I feel maybe if she had dated like
So many people.
she would have really had
Have
dating
experience.
experience.
Don't do that. Don't go there. And the more people
and listen, a lot of times, listen, I'll tell you this, okay? And I'll tell you this. If you see, there's a particular phrase, a philosopher used to say that when you see a fence, let's assume you see a fence now. Imagine you see a fence, you get someone, you meet a fence. They fenced a piece of land. And you want to tear down the fence. Before you tear down the fence, you have to first try to figure out who put that fence up and why that fence was there. You know why? Because that fence that you may realize that fence may be keeping some animals away. Some people may have gone to maybe 50 years before you arrived. They have captured some animals, locked them there and fenced it. You now come and like this fence is clean, you break it down, the animals now escape. Then is at that point you figure out. If you think that your mom did wrong in dating the first person, in marrying the first person she dated, I will tell you that you don't know what is out there. I'm telling you, don't know what is out there.
actually, there's nothing out there.
Because I will tell you that it doesn't get
It doesn't get better with time.
some of us have experience dating several guys, right? It's not a bad thing now. Come on,
Yes.
you guys, when you are not like this now. You are killing the mood here.
I think they are reserved.
Some
They
of
don't
you
want
have
to.
some of you have experience. Okay, on average, you dated like how many guys on average? Like 10? Is it up to 10? Which is
We had someone come on the show.
No,
and-
you're not.
5.
No,
What is it?
no.
Maybe 10 plus X.
4.
You dated 4 guys.
Yeah.
There are lots of guys. Okay, now are you in a relationship presently?
No, I'm single.
You're single now. Okay, good. No, she has
Am I
mentioned
not single?
it's important. She's not married now.
I'm single, I bet.
So
I'm
you have dated 4 guys.
Yeah.
Of those 4 guys that you've dated, I'm sure that there's one of them you probably wish that if you had known that other people were going to be like this, I should have married this guy.
Seriously.
Right?
Yes.
There probably is maybe some guy in your past that like, I wish I had married this guy.
The first or the second.
Am I right?
Yes.
Whether you like him, there will probably be a guy that like I should have married this guy.
Yeah.
I thought I'll find someone better than him. And all these guys I'm finding there, these guys are just.
BS.
Are you with me? You have a lot of that out there. You have a lot of that. It's easy. He used to say something in the show that it's very easy to find men who want to have sex. It's hard to find a man who would support a family
Yeah.
with you. It's very easy to find people who would, if you are driving a car, all right, it's very easy to find people that if you offer them a lift, they will take your lift. They will take a lift in your car. That's what sex is to guys. Though. If you offer guys, it's like give lift. It's extremely hard if you are driving a car to find somebody who will buy the car. That's what marriage is, getting someone to. Do you understand me? So, I don't think that is childhood trauma. But if you feel it is, I would suggest that you take time out to talk to your father for a reason. Because you may end up finding out that when your father and your mom were dating, your father probably might have been a fun guy. He stopped being one. And if you get up marrying a fun guy and he stops being one, you will understand. Sidebar. I don't want to monopolize this conversation, but sidebar. People change in relationships. One of the things that they will tell you, one of the things that if you talk to any people, men who are much older, men and women who are much older, one of the things they will tell you is that if you get into a relationship and you guys start to have children, they will tell you that at some point in time, your wife that was doing gentle at the beginning of the marriage, by the time the children start reaching the stage in which they are stalled as your wife, she will start misbehaving.
My dad and my mom.
Some men will tell you that. So you have to accept that as a woman grows older, that young girl that you say, go and cook indomie for me and all that, will become what? She will become like a, what's the word now? She will become like
Jagaban.
a Orisha. Like a goddess in the household.
Yeah.
It happens to children too. Some of you would have younger ones that when they are small, you send them, maybe a girl, you have a younger brother. When the guy is like 4 years or 5 years old, maybe you are cleaning his diapers for him. When the guy gets to the age of 14 and he's looking at you and looking at himself like, in his mind, it looks like I've already started growing hair in my private part. He knows that he can beat you. How many of you have younger brothers? All right, who you probably were beating when he was young, and now you know that if you look at that guy, can beat you. Am I lying?
No, he can't beat me.
He can't beat me.
I'll break his
No,
head.
you cannot physically. I'm talking about if you remove the fact that it was your brother and physically two of you have to fight.
Like a by the street. Just one down.
I think you underestimate how powerful 14-year-old boys are.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
You see all the women here, and I say this: if I should put you in a fight with a 14-year-old boy, they will destroy you. Forget about put a 50-year-old man, 14-year-old. Today's 14-year-old boys.
No.
How do you say no?
14 years old.
Just 14.
Just 14 years. Even 15.
No, like you're not calling men.
14, no.
You're not getting me. You're not calling Femo. You are not calling men, no, that you're not calling men and shouting that come and see this useless boy that is beating his older sister. They will leave you and the boy alone.
14.
Sir, 14 is too small.
Sorry.
Okay, he's not by 14. It's not by age.
You don't know.
It's too small, mama.
SS2.
Look at you.
It's like, you have not seen my nephew.
When I was
My nephew is even taller than me.
in my
nephew.
when I was in SS1,
not
SS2, all right, my classmates back then, the teachers, female teachers, could not beat them. They will have to go and call the men to beat them. You couldn't handle. Sometimes you are beating if the guy holds you. I know of women who have come to tell me that who have told me physically that when their son reached the age of 14, the son will tell the mom that mommy, I can handle you.
Yes, now.
Let me just shock you. I said it when I was 14 years old and I could. So all this one that you are saying,
They can't do it.
physically I'm 14. Physically, I'm looking at you guys, your size, and I remember what I looked at the age of 14.
Fast one now.
So the point is,
continue.
the reason why we are having this particular conversation is that people change. So that I don't go, people change in relationships. Okay? And you have to, and that applies to what you have said. And I think it's important to have that. Do not assume that the man is like that. The guy was young once, he was fun loving. There was a time in which he loved going partying and all that. Okay? But that apart from that. So let's come right now to the issue of trauma. So there are several things we mentioned. We've gotten fixated on domestic violence, but there are other forms. There's sexual violence,
actually.
There's abandonment. Abandonment is like a girl came in, sat in a chair, the way you are sitting, and she said that her father just stood up and left her mom with, I want to marry somebody else. Okay? And years after, also, I think the man said years after, she doesn't even understand the whole issue. But the thing that affected her, in fact, the lady I'm narrating her story is the one who sent this WhatsApp message. Because she got into, at that time she was 21, 22, she got into relationships that if it was somebody else, she probably would have ended up marrying those guys. But she said no to those guys. Why? Because she was afraid that if I get married to this guy and we have children, this person may leave me the way my father left. I don't need to talk much about sexual violence and all that, but there are women and men who have been raped or who have been seduced in childhood. There was somebody who wanted to pay for an item, and he told the person selling the item to send the children to come and collect the money. And the woman said no. Because she was like, he doesn't want anybody to grab our kids. You get, so we have that. Okay, so how do we address this? That's the question now. How do we address abandonment? How do we address domestic violence? How do we address trust issues? Is there anybody who has been able to address in your personal life?
So, on the case of sexual violence, I used to have one guy, a friend, then he stayed with his uncle, and his uncle used to rape him.
A guy.
A guy, yeah.
His uncle.
Like
Just please allow her to tell the story.
homosexuality, something like homosexuality and stuff. So his uncle used to rape him when he was a child. So he grew up and left the uncle place. So he had a girlfriend. Me and the girl were very close then. And the guy used to be my friend too. But we don't really talk. So the girl now told me that the guy said something one day that it's not as if I love you, but I love you because your ass is big enough. Like, I don't know if that's too real, but your backside is big enough. So she just felt like maybe it's just a compliment. So one day they were inside. She said the guy tried to rape her. Not even rape her in a normal way. Like rape her anally. Like, but she left the relationship, sha. But me, I know tell the guy, but I just told her that I should tell the guy to go for therapy. Maybe something can change. Or because
Was it the girl that told you that the uncle was raping him?
No, the girl. She told me everything. That was how it happened.
Was the guy sleeping with other men?
That's why I don't know.
You don't know the details of that story?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because it's not my boyfriend. My friend's boyfriend. That's my friend.
Okay. No, I wasn't saying that it was yours.
It's not my. It can never be mine. God forbid.
No, you won't know now.
You don't know. They don't
All
like
right.
that.
Okay, so that's the story. So what do you do in that situation? What do you tell him?
Me, I only advise him to go for therapy.
Black don't believe in therapy.
Or there's nothing to do. It can't change. It can't just change naturally. It's not possible because that was what he grew up with. So I just think he should go for therapy. Then if that one don't work out for him, then he needs prayer.
Jesus.
Okay,
He needs prayer.
so in your own case, it's prayer, therapy, and then
Now
like
and he should work
spiritual
on
help.
himself.
Working on yourself does not. What does that mean? He gets up and he gyms.
Like not like gym.
Or he gives
Like he should
personal-
try to try out new things because you only have whenever he wants to sleep with a woman, he either sleeps with her anally. Like he should try the normal way.
The way you are saying this, I'm giving so much details about this guy for someone that is your friend. But don't worry, I would.
Oh yeah, you don't catch me.
Eh?
You don't catch me.
You know, he's not my boyfriend. No.
All right, so we have that. So we have people who have gone through sexual violence, and whether you like it or not, it impacts them. Okay, we have domestic violence. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody who has gone through like abandonment? Maybe you feel that like a mom or dad just stood up and left. Is there anybody here who has had that experience? A loved one.
Can we call this abandonment like your daddy just traveling for years, not with you? Like you miss him during your childhood.
Saying they send money.
Of course, now.
But you feel that.
No. That's why I asked. Can we call it that? Because during your childhood days, you're not there with him. So you don't have this father figure.
Growing up.
So that's the type of person my dad is. But I can actually blame him. Not like that, but actually, but he was working. Not just working where we were. Because when they get married, like they were together. But at a point, his work, he moved to Onitsha, went to Port Harcourt. So I hardly stay with my dad. That's why when Promise was saying her dad was, I said, that's my dad. My dad will not talk to you. And I loved it also. If I'm at home, I'm always in my room, not talking to anybody because I hear people even shouting. anytime someone even comes around and sister shout, I'm like, why are you shouting? In our house, we don't shout. We are just cool on our own. And nobody can give it. But at a point, like, I miss that father figure. Like, so that's why that only get to me. I'm like, I wish I was very close. But my dad sent me anything I want because I was the last born. If everybody asks for something and I ask, but yeah, take.
Is he available now?
Yes, but we are not that close.
Okay, so I will tell you this, all right? I would address this, okay? You might need to find time and make effort to get to know him, to understand the kind of decisions that brought him to where he was. It's not an easy decision, and the reason why that's important to understand is so that when you start your own family and you also have your own sons, you will be able to strike a balance between what your father had to do and the effect it will have on your children like it had on you.
Yes, actually, we have been doing that because
Okay.
I'm not the only male child. I have a senior brother.
Okay.
Actually, I follow that one footstep a lot because we are like anything my brother does. So my brother got type by what? He's even like living, when he was working in Lagos and his wife lives in Osogbo because we used to live in Osogbo before we...
You said his wife?
Yes.
Your mom?
No,
he's married.
my brother. Yes, he's
Okay.
married. So he always go to Osogbo every weekend. Just go and see his wife. I was like, yes. Assume even if they are far apart, they still see each other. Until work now took him to Elisha now. Though it's Elisha and Osogbo, they are very close. So actually, he's living in Osogbo. He just goes early in the morning to like Elisha to work. So I think I'm actually following that one footstep because we all know it was a bad thing about my body. We could not really control that because he's actually working.
He's working and he's taking on.
And he's taking care of us. So he takes care of us.
I would respond with this. There's someone who I know very, very close to me that grew up in similar circumstances. Almost similar, but he saw his father weekends. Sometimes there are times in which he will see his family like once in 4 years. But sometimes it was every weekend. All right? And that particular person I am describing now, do you know what he does? Because of the experience he had not having a father around, the guy ensures that he drops his children in school almost every day and he picks them up. Do you understand me? So the point is this, but that particular person I am describing also sat down to talk to his father and sat down to talk to his grandfather. To understand, because most of the time, this is the issue. A lot of us, we are living our lives as if we are the first person to deal with problems. You think that the problems that are on earth, you are the first person to encounter them. And that's why we say there are lots of people who would have to get married. You have to start a family. Your wife and the husband cannot live together. For example, this subsidy removal, for instance, now, there are lots of people who, because of subsidy removal, they can't come home every day. You understand me? There are some people who, they are Uber drivers, who because of the cost of fuel, once they drive, wherever the last trip ends, they will park their car and sleep there and start the journey the next day.
Yeah.
Because if they look, like I know someone who drives Uber, the guy lives in Ikorodu. The guy tells me that there's a particular parking lot somewhere in Victoria Island that once it's night, all cars will just drive into the park and stay there. And they will sleep. So if you have a father, for instance, who does that Mondays to Friday, and he comes back home, all right? And I'm not trying to say they are irresponsible men. So we're not making, when the man comes back home, the last thing, the man may not be as emotionally
Connected.
attached as you are. Also, if the man is the primary breadwinner, which means that if the man, all the responsibility and bills are on him, he may not be able to laugh with you because a lot of the times his mind is thinking, how do I meet the bills? Like you say, Daddy, the school fees, 500 grand. If you are going to those people who are attending private university, for instance, guys, like how do I make this up? Do you understand me? We're not giving an excuse, but you just have to consider that. On the issue of abandonment, I would say this about abandonment, and I'm not claiming to be an expert. If there's anybody here, if there's anybody watching this, all right, if you're watching this particular point and you've watched this particular point, you can send us an email, advice@darkpore.com, if you are dealing with issues of abandonment. On subsequent episodes of this show, we'll be, at least once a month, we'll be bringing like a clinical psychologist that will join our team to provide counseling. And the last time he came, he was able to provide counseling for, I think, 2 or 3 people who came on the show. So if there's anybody who is dealing with issue about, just send us an email and we'll get you the counseling you need. There are a couple of pointers in this message. So far, to recap some of the things we've said, we've mentioned during the course of the show that there are lots of things, that childhood issues can impact people's ability to form bonds and relationship. During the course of this show, we had people mention that we had people mention that there were issues they had with their parents, particularly their fathers, okay, which made them, there were issues that they identified in their fathers that made them decide that if they see a similar behavior in other people they are dating, they would exit the relationship. We also had somebody mention that you would have to weigh, is it worth staying or is it worth leaving? That would have to weigh whether the advantages far outweigh disadvantages. Even though there was no measure or no yardstick, there was no yardstick for determining what's an advantage and what's a disadvantage. We also had someone else mention during the course of the show that people have had issues with sexual violence with close relatives, and it goes on to impact the way in which they have relationships, in which they build relationships, sexual relationships with their girlfriends and their future wives. And then we wrapped up and we concluded the show by touching on the issue that apart from abandonment, the fact that a parent is not physically present, all right, or there are long periods of time when the parent is not physically present, can affect the upbringing of the child, because the child may feel that my father is not around, I wish my father or my mother were around. And then we asked ourselves that how do we tackle these issues and ensure that it does not affect our ability to form productive relationships going forward. So I've done a brief recap. So on all these things we've spoken about right now, do we have any questions as to how to deal with that? How many of us live with both our parents? How many of us, our father and our mothers, are still together? Are your parents still together? No. Are they separated?
Yes, 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Would you care to share? Yes. Can we?
My parents too are separated. Just that one died.
I also.
But your dad died soon.
Yeah.
And so he's in heaven. And there's really nothing there's no advice we can give you that can bring him back. The only advice we can give is to go and join him.
At the right time.
At the right time.
Okay.
But,
you're saying
so we would want to learn from okay, so what if you are comfortable enough, we want you to share with us exactly what happened. So you tell us what this is what you understand about the way their relationship went. Okay, what you felt went wrong, and how it has affected you, and what you probably would have learned to do differently. Okay? If you are willing to share, are you willing to share?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me cut of water first. Cup of water.
You look as if you are about to cry.
Yes.
It's painful.
You need water, Abi?
Yes.
Of course.
All right, so let's hear.
Okay. This is what I noticed from the beginning. I know everything is not natural. Whenever we are praying in the house, my daddy will be like, we are disturbing him. We should allow him to sleep. And my dad is should I say my dad is a lazy man? Because my mom is the only one working. She takes care of us and everything. And my dad will still steal her money.
Did you experience your dad stealing her money?
Even my money.
Okay.
So that very day, my dad started acting strange, like shouting at my mom. Things I noticed it has never happened. So it comes to a stage that my dad started beating my mom. One of it, suddenly, my dad said he saw a job at Ekiti, that he wants to go for the job at Ekiti. He went for like 3 months, 4 months. He came back again. He left again for like 2 years and he never returns. So when we find out that he got married to another woman there and he has given birth. So ever since then, he never returns. And it's not as if like he's not communicating with us. He's only communicating with my elder ones. So ever since then, he left when I was in SS3, SS2 going to SS3 then. That was when he left. And
how many years ago was that?
12 years ago.
Okay.
So ever since then, it has been only my mom. Even
Does it send
My-
money for upkeep?
no,
It doesn't send money for
at
upkeep.
all.
Okay.
So ever since then, it has been only my mom that was taking care of us. So my mom settled my WAEC fee and everything. So ever since when I started working immediately. I finished my WAEC. I started teaching. The second week, I finished my WAEC. So I told my mom I want to write JAMB. My mom was like, "Hello, Maron, law school." But I have that faith. So I wrote JAMB the first time. I wasn't given admission the second time. The third time my mom was like, "Toluma ways to wear." Then I told her, "She better call for me low. For me." So though it has not been easy because it was just as if I was the one taking care of myself then. So my mom was there a little bit for us, but at least she's trying her best. I have like 3 younger ones.
How did it affect your? Did it affect your romantic relationships?
Should I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got admission in 2017. And what happened to me? Adibin, my parents were still together. It wouldn't have happened. I got admission 2017 October. Like I went to school 2017 October. So I met this guy. Like everything was just so terrible. Like I got pregnant. Before I dated the guy, before we started dating, I never loved him. I don't have any feelings for him. But my roommate was like, "Tolu, date this guy. At least you don't have someone you are dating. Date him." I told her that I don't have any feelings for him, so I can't date him. My roommate, the guy was disturbing. The guy was staying beside my hostel in school. So my roommate was like, "Tolu, date this guy." Then I told her, "No, I don't like him. I don't even have any feelings for him. I can't date him." I was actually dating someone before I gained admission, but the guy left me for another lady. So I cried and everything. So my roommate was like, "So I accepted the guy because, okay, let me just accept him. It's not as if I have any feelings for him or I was still a virgin then. So it's not as if I don't have any feelings for him at all. But, I did not really have any experience in serious relationships. So I don't know how to deal with guy. And if a guy is lying, I don't know anything about it then. Then this guy came along and started disturbing me for sex and everything. We had sex and we had it several times and I got pregnant. So what I was trying to say is that Adibin, I did not have that fatherly care. Like I was just alone and doing my things alone. And my mom's family, they're in abroad. So they are the ones sponsoring my education. So the guy, before I even find out I was pregnant, the guy already left me for another lady. So the guy really hurts me so much. Like every day I'm just always crying. So like everything was just like I was just being neglected. Like no one cares about me and like the feelings and everything. This guy, I think it was after we had sex. That was when I loved him so much. Like that was when I believed that when a guy disvirgin you, even if you did not like the guy, you like him. So I really love him. I had carry over in school because of that guy. But I was unable to.
Did you have the baby?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
Was it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Okay.
So, to cut this story short, everything, it was not easy. That one, the guy also hurts me so much. Even when we were dating, before I got pregnant and everything, it really hurts me so much. He might not talk to me. Even when I was pregnant, I can count the days that I was happy. It's not even up to 10 times for 9 months. Because I did not agree to stay with him. We were staying beside each other. He has a cafe in my school, like he's working in the school. Okay. He has a cafe in the school. Sometimes, I could remember the day I was in 6 months pregnancy. This guy did not talk to me for like 3 weeks and we are staying beside each other.
Did he want the baby then?
He wanted me to abort it. Even his mother
Wanted you to.
abort the baby.
Okay.
But I told him I won't.
Why did
Are you with him now?
No.
When last did you talk to him?
2 years ago.
Okay.
So,
Why did you choose to keep the baby? Why did you choose to keep the baby?
because I don't want to abort it.
Like, was it that you were afraid for if something happens? Or?
Okay, let me say this. I had one pregnancy before. I aborted it.
For him?
Yes.
Okay.
Because my mom used to say, Tolu, ọmọ sọ fún pé tó bá ṣẹ́yún, tó bá lóyún, má ṣe o, tó bá ṣe o máa kú. So the first one, I know what I went through. So I almost die. So that was why I could not abort the second one. Even when his mother came, the guy mother came and she was like, abort it. And I told her, no, I won't. So had it been at least I will have that fatherly fear that had it been my father
That was around.
yes, everything wouldn't have happened.
Okay, so I would say this now, and I'm going to do what I would say right. What I'm going to say next. I mean, alienate all the women in the room. You know what that means? That means that what I want to say next, you may not like to hear it.
I think.
Okay. No, let me just go. So right now, at this particular point, how are you? What steps are you taking? Okay. What steps are you taking to recover from all that?
I'm now recovered. I went through depression and everything. I almost died.
Are you dating anybody presently?
No.
Okay.
I left him 2 years ago. So my uncles that were sponsoring me, so they find out I give birth in school, and so every month they ignored me, they left me, and so I was all alone, and the guy was like, he's not taking care of me and my child, like he's hurting me whenever I go to his place. He might even slap me, insult me because of a lady. So everything was, I have to let go.
So right now, I get that. I get your hurt.
I was
Tolu, I don't want to come across as insensitive. I get your hurt. But the question right now is this: what are you doing? What are you actively doing?
Okay.
Okay, because the goal of this conversation is you are not, for you probably may feel that your story is heartwarming and all that because it's exclusive to you. But you are not the only person in Nigeria. Do you understand? Who is dealing with this? There are lots of people who are dealing with this. There are lots of people who, what you are going through is what you have gone through is what they are presently going through. They're going to watch this video. They will listen to you. So that's why I'm asking this question. That what are you doing to overcome all the pain and the hurt? After
I left him, my mom, so I started working as a promoter. I work as a promoter, and I started taking care of my child, taking care of myself. Then I only work weekends. I work from Friday to Sunday. So I was like, instead of staying at home, because I'm a stylist, it's not every day that people will be making hair. So then I think about it. Instead of staying at home from Monday to Thursday, I went back to school for my HND.
Okay.
So I started going to school from Thursday to Monday to Thursday. Then I go to work from Friday to Sunday. So that's how I've been coping.
All right. So you do not plan to marry the father of the child?
I can never marry him again.
I get you. What I'm saying is that there's no plan right now to marry the father of the child.
It's not possible.
No, it's not. Get my question. Is there any plan?
No.
There's not. So that's the answer to the question. Okay, so do you intend to have a family of your own someday?
Someday.
If God says. Plan? Not if God says.
I think you had.
We are, because this is, and I wanted, the reason why I want this kind of stories is the reason why I want this kind of conversation. The reason why I want this kind of conversation is because you have to deal with exactly what you've been given. This is where you are right now. Okay? You're a mother of a child, but you are young and you are still in your reproductive years. Are you with me? And I think it's important. I think that it's important for you to move past that. Because what's going to happen, some people spend 20, 30 years of their life, and if you meet them 30 years from now, all the stories you will hear will be that it was this guy that hurt me. My father hurt us. And then I met this guy and the guy hurt me. And then as a result, he messed up my life. You understand me? All that has happened, granted. What are you going to do about it now? That's the question. You've gone back to school, you've promoted and all that, but there's still something which, whether you like it or not, as much as possible, at some point in time you would want to, and that's why I'm asking the question, do you plan to start a family of your own with a man someday?
Yes.
You intend to?
Someday, yes.
Okay. So how do you ensure that the trauma of the past, your dad and your ex-boyfriend, you will not carry that into that relationship?
For me, I don't trust any guy. So
I know
I
there
don't
will be
know.
trust
So
issues.
I don't know yet. Because I always say I won't get married again. But people will be like, no, don't say that again. So I don't.
You don't have a plan.
Okay.
I want to get her to the point in which do you have a plan or not?
I don't have any plan for
You
now.
don't have any plan for now.
Yes.
Okay. And you also don't have.
I don't want to.
Can I ask you how old you are?
27.
27.
Can I
Okay.
chip in something?
If you have questions for her, because
Okay.
we have a couple of things, and I am not going to, unlike most people you probably have spoken to and all that, I'm going to hold you accountable.
So the
I will hold
stuff
you,
is
please, let me just, because this is essential. I will hold you accountable, and I'll give you action steps, things that you have to do. Do you understand me? I am not going to join people. If you talk to ladies, all the ladies, they are folding. At some point, I think, were you crying? So at some point, you are crying, you are shedding tears. Your story touched them. Fine. But I can tell you that for you, in your own particular case, there are thousands of women all across Nigeria who find themselves in your situation. And if they hear you, so some of them, like the girl that I said, the lady who said came 2 weeks ago, if she hears your story, in her mind, she will tell you that your story is just learning work compared to where she is. But she has moved on. Okay, so that's what will happen. And I'm going to put that to you. Okay, so let's take your questions. If you have questions for her, let's just, with the questions, please do not give, there's particular kind of questions we're going to avoid. Okay? You cannot throw questions, your questions cannot throw
tantrum or
cannot appear to insult.
Yeah, please.
Do you get me? Because the only difference between Tolu and several other people is that Tolu chose to keep the baby. There are lots of women that if they had kept all the pregnancy they had there, he probably would have had like 20 children. You may tell other people that, but they come to the hospital, they meet us. I've met women who have done like 25 abortions. It's not. In fact, when you meet a lady that has not had an abortion, I am surprised.
How come?
You get. If you go to most like maternity hospitals and you look at their data, I am surprised. So that's the angle I'm coming from. So if you have questions for you, take your question and then we'll talk about the plan of action.
Okay, I just wanted to. Okay, I think I should give you.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, how were you able to cope with the stigma and everything then?
Was there stigma? I think that's the first question. Was there any stigma?
Was there any stigma? Yes.
Now you are schooling and you are
Were there
pregnant.
That
insults?
you're pregnant and
Yes.
People insulted you.
Yes.
Classmates.
Everyone.
and how did your mom take it?
My mom accepted me because there is nothing she can do.
Actually, that's what she's looking for.
Yeah. It's so fine.
Okay, so
And
again now.
when you told him you were pregnant, did he deny you first?
No, he did not.
But he told you to abort it straight.
Yes.
Then when you said you were not going to abort it, what did you do? Like, did he let me just put it in this kind of way, like, did he just abandon you, or he was still checking on you somehow? Not, or did he totally abandon you, like you never existed?
Okay. He never loved me. That's just it. You know, if a guy truly loved a lady, he would take care of the lady. But this, he never loved me.
I think I'm in your shoe. Continue.
So that's just
Well,
it.
sorry.
I would listen. Let me just. There are some things she said. So let me connect a couple of dots for you. Initially, she did not like the guy, but when they started having sex, she said she liked him. She developed feelings. Right. So probably, I don't know, but probably the first time you got pregnant, the very, very first time you got pregnant, you didn't want that baby. But the second one, you were like, probably correct me if I'm wrong. Did you feel that if you had the baby, he probably would stay with you?
No.
You didn't feel that way. Okay, so
I wanted to say something.
So for the past 2 years, he has not called or checked on you or on the child. Wow.
He's not a caring guy. He's not caring at all.
Okay, so
is there anybody who wants to defend the guy?
yeah, I wanted to say something.
No, you're saying, is there anybody who wants to? Do you want to defend the guy?
Of course.
Okay, so let me hear your defense of the guy.
If I don't defend the guy, who would I defend? Of course, I sympathize with you, and no guy should do that actually. But there's something you said that I just feel that a little bit you might be right, but I think you are wrong. Say the guy never loved you. Well, now what happened actually? All things being equal, might be wrong, but most likely what happened is that you didn't like him at first. He liked you at first. Now you gave up something, started liking him. He had released something, stopped loving you. The stock probably dropped. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Can I talk?
Let her respond, please.
Do you know what? What happened then? Like the way he approached me and his attitude then. If a guy should give me that response now and that attitude, I will know what the guy really wants.
How would the attitude?
You wanted sex.
If a guy approached me, I will know that this is what he wants.
How would you know?
I would know.
Okay, then
Experienced.
how did he approach you? Okay, how did he approach you?
He
approached me like normal guy, like how normal guy approach a lady.
Because what normal guy do, I can approach a lady that way and still get married to her. Now, I don't even where I was going. I just had to say that something happened. And you started loving him. Then he stopped loving you. But I'm sure that at a point, you didn't like him. You gave up something to like him. Now, if you had stayed for probably 6 months or a year and you didn't have sex with him, you probably still don't like him. Do you get?
We've gotten past that. Okay, so
past that. But
so
now, my question is,
what you're doing is like blaming her for a decision she cannot correct.
No. So my question is, what I'm trying to now say, which is my actual story. Now, the new person, of course, a new person will come who probably don't know about what you have done. And you don't know what the guy has done. But let's assume the guy is clean and all that. Now, the question he was trying to ask us, how will you ensure that the stuff that you have gone through, you don't put it on this guy? So this guy won't feel, because the guy is probably clean, nothing. So how will you ensure that he won't feel the weight and he will suffer the consequences of what some other people have done to you? I think that's the question. I'm just trying to buttress.
Yes, a version of that.
Yeah, a version of that. So how will you ensure that he won't be the one to suffer? Because if he starts suffering of what he doesn't know about, or what probably what people have done, then I think it's a bad deal on his own side.
No,
and he probably. So how are you ensuring that he doesn't suffer? Because believe me, it will come back.
Because I've tried to move on and I still see some guys that I see it that they're almost the same.
Okay, so I would. There are two things you mentioned. Right now. I asked that, how are you moving on? What are the concrete steps you're taking? And your response to that is that you've met several guys and you can figure out exactly what it is that they want. Okay, so we'll tackle those two. But does anybody else have any questions for her?
I do have a question.
It's a question you can elucidate in a single sentence.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you said, all this happened because your own father figure was absent. Now your boy, how are you going to ensure that that same thing will not happen to him? Like, he's not going to get pregnant actually, but that kind of like being left alone, that abandonment, how are you trying to cope?
I would address that. I don't think you should put that on. I would address that. Okay, I would address that. Does anybody else have any questions for her? Okay, so I'm super grateful that you are honest. Okay, I am extremely super grateful you are honest. So let's just jump right into this. As it stands right now, whether you want to accept it or not, whoever you end up dating, the person would have to deal with those issues from the past. And you can say that it will not affect the person. But human beings, we are creatures of habit. If you see any sign that a person is about to leave, all right, you will respond. You most likely would lash out. Okay, it doesn't matter. You cannot. And the reason why you would do that is not because you're a bad person. The reason why you would do that is because there are lots of things in your past that will feed into that decision. When you spoke about your dad, you mentioned the fact that you said that your dad stole from your mom and he stole from you and the guy left and he didn't come back. Okay? As it is right now, it's not just a question of trust, it's also a question of respect. It's going to be extremely hard to find any man that you will be willing to respect. It's going to be extremely hard. Okay? And you probably would have to take note of that. So I will tell you this. If you're 27 and you want to start a family, I think you should set it as a priority. I think you should set it as a priority if you are 27. And these are my reasons for it. The journey of life is very, very long. And for most people, the reason why most people choose to either get married or have fun with them is so that you have someone to support you in that journey. Because it's not an easy journey for one person. It doesn't mean that you cannot take it alone, but it's a hard journey to take alone, particularly if you are going to have children. Do you understand me? I'll give you an example. For instance, when a woman is pregnant, if a woman is one of the reasons why it's important for women and men, all right, to ensure they are married, particularly in Africa, before they start having children, is because when a woman is pregnant, a lot of the times, when a woman is pregnant, she's not in the position to do physical work. You understand me? And so, historically, people will be like, okay, you have to have a husband that can run around so that if you are pregnant, if for any reason your life is at risk, if for any reason you have to be admitted and kept in the hospital, okay, there is someone to do that running around for you. Do you understand me? Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are going to go through life, and if you are going to go through life, there will be hardships, there will be difficulty, there will be disease, there will be old age. For a lot of people, it's important to have someone there with you. Okay, and most times, by the time you have brothers, if all of them or sisters, if all of them are married and they've gone their separate ways, if you don't have people who don't have that support system around them, they tend to live very, very difficult lives. So on this show, we advocate that young people should focus on trying to find the person that would be at least a good long-term partner in that journey of life. If you notice, I'm not saying marriage. If you notice, I'm not saying getting married. I am emphasizing starting a family and support systems. So every woman here, you need support systems. Do you understand me? Yes. I need support system. People, you actually need each other because the older you get, it becomes difficult to make it to the end of life alone. The people who are suffering in Nigeria today, if you go and check it out, are people who don't have anybody. All right, the people who are suffering, who struggle. I'm talking about people who are like single moms in their late 50s. Okay, probably the person has a child, and you don't have anybody to reach out to. If you go and check out people, you end up seeing that people having to resort to all manner of things just to get by. So, from the point of view of relationship, I think it's important that you would have to prioritize getting into a relationship. And people, it's not the kind of thing that you probably would want to hear from a stranger. But if you talk to your family, people will tell you that has happened. You have to move on beyond it. You cannot allow your attachment to that guy to hold you back. That's the first. Second, any guy who you are getting in contact with, anybody who finds himself in this situation has to realize that any particular man you're getting in contact with, the man has to take on the additional role of supporting a child that is not his. Do you guys understand me? So some people will tell you in our culture, some people will tell you that the child is the child with you or with your mom.
I'm staying with my mom. So my child is with my mom.
Some people will tell you that you have the option to give your son to the father. Some people will tell you have the option to give your son to your mom.
I'm the one taking care of my mom, my son.
I get you. What I'm trying to say is this, is that we are looking at your circumstances right now. What the situation, how do I voice this?
I think
Any man who is going to come into a relationship with you as it is right now, that man has to factor in the fact that you have a son already. And he has to factor in that you have a son and the father does not want to take responsibility for that son. Do you understand me? Anybody who finds himself, for single moms, any man who is dating a single mom has to pick up the financial bill for the son. Do you guys agree with me?
Yes.
That means that any single man, for most people, if most men, and I'm not saying this, most particular men, usually, if they enter into a relationship with single moms, realize that they have to deal with both the mom and the son. And so, because of that, it's important that you may have to figure out exactly, you have to make a decision on your son. Are you going to leave the son with the father? Are you going to leave the son with your mom? Particularly when you are dating. Because for most men, this is what will happen. For most men, once they hear that this man is a single mom, she already has, for most men, I'm not talking about all men.
Most.
But once they hear a woman is a single mom, most men will log off. You have experienced it. You know what I'm talking about. That's the first. We're giving candid advice here. It's brutal. It's brutally honest. You may have to prioritize for the dating period, you may have to prioritize living your life in such a way that your children, your son does not become a barrier to your dating relationship. People may not like those choice of words. You understand me? Son barrier, you may see your son is an asset to you. Granted, we hear that. But for any man who is coming in, if he sees you and he sees the son, two things will happen. A man who is responsible enough to support a family of his own. When I mean responsible, I don't mean that the way we use responsible. I mean that the man has the financial capability to support a family of his own. Most of them would want to marry a woman that doesn't have a child. It's hypocrisy. I know, it's double standard, but that's the way it is. A lot of other men who will show up, if they find out you're a single mom, will see you exactly what she was describing to you. You heard what she said. A lot of men will come around, and what is coming around is this person is a single mom. I'm telling you how men talk. I'm not justifying it. I'm not supporting. I'm not saying it is right. I'm just describing what happens. You get. If you enter a Danfo and you are going towards a K2, when you get to a Greek, what happens? You see some people come and say, my money. Mm-hmm. You can complain about it. Do you like it?
But you can't do anything.
Do you like the fact that you are paying, out of the 300 naira you are paying for transport, 100 naira is going to the Agbero?
The educated tout.
But that is what happens. Do you understand? So we're describing that situation. And so for dating relationship, it's important. For dating relationship, I will tell you for dating relationship, and I will tell you this bluntly, you may have to find a ways to stay apart from your mom for the period of time in which you are dating. And you may also want to, and I'm giving you candid advice right now.
I'm living with my mom. I school in Ijebu, so okay. I'm not always.
You're not always.
I'm not always around.
For dating relationships, you may have to be with serious. You may have to until you are certain that the man is serious. You may not want to bring up the issue that you're a single mom, and you would have to make, and you would have to insist that anybody you are dating must be somebody who is financially capable of supporting the family. Let me tell you the difference. Okay. You guys, who are the guys that are in school? Who are the guys who are students?
The ladies who are students.
There are guys in your class. What level are you?
200.
There are guys in your class who are 211. Who are toasting you. Those guys most likely will not marry you. You know why? Do you know why?
She knows me.
No, do you know why?
Why?
We'll come back to the story. Do you know why they will not marry you? Why? Do you know why?
No.
If you're in 200 level in university, the guy who is toasting you in your class will not marry you. He most likely, in 99% of the time, will not marry you. Do you know why?
Why? Why?
You honestly, you really do not know why.
Are you serious?
Mr. Oji, please let me tell them why. Let me tell them why the guy will not marry you.
I think I'm better position to say why.
Mr. Ewa, please let me tell them.
Yeah.
Why me?
My own experience, I
well.
think because they are on the same level actually. They are on the same level because at the end of the day, if they get out of school, they finish service, both of them will be on the same level.
Okay.
So
So
they don't have. Okay.
let me pay this.
No, they're not painting. Just explain to them so that we don't keep, because I won't come back to. I'm using that to make a point. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because listen, most men, all right, do not get married before the age of 28, particularly if they have a degree. If you go and check statistics and data, most men do not. Between the age of 28 to 33. Most men need to have been working for some time, 3 to 5 years before they get married. So that means that the man needs to have been working. Why? Because he needs to pay for the wedding, he needs to pay for the apartment or the house they are going to rent, he needs to pay for the bed, for the cost of raising the first child. In our own situation, the guy she was with, a major reason why she and that guy did not end up together was not because the guy was wicked.
Yeah.
It was because the guy was probably not in a position where he could financially support a family.
Yeah.
If she was dating that guy, for instance, and that guy had been working for a while, and the guy was looking to settle down, and she had gotten pregnant, you know what would have happened?
They're
What would
probably
have happened?
They're probably
They would
getting
have
married.
accelerated the wedding.
Yeah.
So if you date a guy in 200 level, for instance, and the guy, and you are telling the guy you want to get married when you graduate school because you are looking at 2 years, the guy is thinking that by the time he's finishing 200
They're on
level,
the same level. So
in 400 level, he has not started working, he has
He
not
doesn't even
served.
have a job.
Before he goes for youth service, that's 3 years. After youth service, let's not assume he gets a job immediately after youth service. He has to work for 3 to 5 years. That's 8 years. The guy at 12 level needs 8 years for him to reach the stage in which I can marry. And by that time, so he probably will try to keep you. The problem is in 8 years, you won't look the same way you look today. So 8 years time, he probably will not like say, you know what,
Let me go for
who's the
someone
youngest person here?
I think the guy in white glasses.
In 8 years, probably will go for Dora.
Because
Or
that's
somebody who
probably
is
20.
Dora's age.
Yeah.
Do you understand me? So that's the reason why I would say that. So when I was asking that question, that do you have a plan? This is what I am spelling out. You would have to insist that if you are going to date anybody, the person must be working. The person must be working. You must have an idea of exactly the person is earning a salary. The person most likely probably has his own apartment. If he does not have his own apartment, the person is working towards getting his own apartment that he's staying. If he does not, if he's not working and if he's not working, if he doesn't have a job and he doesn't have a plan towards getting his own apartment, and you engage with such a man, all right, he cannot, not that even if he loves you, he cannot marry. Or maybe let me put a third caveat. He probably maybe has parents that have a house or an apartment that you can stay. Do you understand me?
But he can keep you.
No. Let's not. This issue is, while she has shared the situation she is with us. Okay, we're having this conversation for several people who have to make those decisions. So that's the first decision. So if you are, and that's why I was saying that if I'm talking to any lady who is like between the age of 22 to the age of 27, and she's telling me that she wants to know whether this person, so when we're talking about advantage, you want to know whether this person is worth staying with. Is the guy working? Can he support a family? If you cannot do any of those things, just leave the guy alone. You understand me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. Do I continue or do we just end the show here?
I think we've gone way more into the second show.
Into the second show. Well, we'll wrap this. So the second thing which I would say, okay, in addressing that. So that's, other people would have spoken, but as it turns out, I probably am the only person here on this panel who probably can speak to this plan, because I have seen the other side. So the guy is working. So if you are telling me, even men who are working also, they want to eat and run. So telling me that you just know, the issue right now is it's just very painful that you are now dealing with a guy who cannot support a family, who when he now eats and runs, if you start complaining, he will tell you that, but you know that there's no way I can even marry even if I want to. You understand? So that's one. The second point is this. You may have to take time out. You tell me, you said that you work as a promoter during the weekends. Yes. Okay. I will give you advice, and you're Muslim, you're Christian?
Christian.
Okay. And this advice, you women won't like it. Okay. You may not like it, but we'll still give her the advice. You're going to say yes to everybody who falls in that category that asks you out.
Working, earning, living.
Everybody working, earning, regardless of whatever category. You say yes, you go out on dates with them. When I mean you go out on dates with them to get to know them. And you have to figure out exactly, is this person? And that might mean that in the early stages of dating relationships, it might mean that you may have to say yes to several guys simultaneously. Because I will tell you that a lot of those guys, by the time you sit down and you start having those conversations, and you bring up the issue that you have a child and the history, a lot of them will filter out. I'll give an example with this show. You guys would honestly wonder how you get on this show. So let me tell you how you get on this show. On this show, we have a target for the number of people that we expect on the show. Because we have 3 hosts on the show. I'm the host, I have 2 co-hosts, and we have 14 seats in the studio. So that means we have 11 seats to be filled. Do you know how many people that we require to confirm before the show starts? What number? Just give me a number. Just guess. We require 22 people confirming. You know why? Because on the morning of the show, some things will happen. Some people will what? Will call on the morning of the show, say that they are seeing their menses. Another person will call and say they have to travel. Another person will call and say that I called my mommy or my daddy, they say I should not come. Another person will show up for the show and they will not be probably well dressed. So we need to have a large selection pool, a pool of 22 people. So that by the morning of the show, half of the people will cancel. You understand me? The reason why university or school environments work well for most people is because you have a large selection pool. So if you are going for lectures, as you are going out for lectures, you probably, in a day, going for lectures, you may have, how many people toasting you? Give me an example. 5. How many people probably like, sister, let me talk to you.
More than 5.
More than 5. It works because it's university environment. You see, when you graduate from university, polytechnic, and you now have to go to work. Maybe you are working in a place. If you have a job that's like, some people pick up jobs that like either secretarial positions. They work with the same set of people for 10 years. Same people, the number of people does not change. Okay, it changes dramatically. They find they can go an entire 1 month and maybe like most of the people will be chatting, there will be on WhatsApp, and there are people who just want to eat it and run. You understand? So, are you with me?
Yes.
So you'd have to open the selection pool, and that means that you're going out. You probably are in a bus or whatever. You don't put earplugs in your ear. You don't put earphones on your ear because you enter a bus. Someone probably might want to talk to you, and by once they see, nobody wants to say that, Madam, I want to talk to you when you have your earphones. So people meet with you as you're leaving the person. You probably have a card with your Instagram number and all your details, and it out. You guys are like, we are wondering why I'm talking like this. I'm being practical this week because for most men, before most men will get to see the inner beauty and see how great she is as a person, once most men hear that there's a child somewhere, most men will log off. Do you understand? It's double standards, but it is true. The same way in which if you meet a guy and you are talking to the guy, before you know the inner beauty, once you hear that the guy say that I just left prison, what will happen?
I said Jackpot.
I left prison, say for what? Armed robbery. What will happen? You may not like the analysis, the analogy. The guy may have left prison, and in prison he was the chaplain of the prison.
For the fact
and he's now born again, as in spiritual and all that. But the fact that when you talk to him, like, what have you spent the past 5 years doing? Parents say that past 5 years that have been serving a prison sentence. Well, imagine introducing him to your dad.
No matter what you say after that.
Afterwards, do you get? And in African cultures, when people are going to introduce you to their moms, a lot of times, once they mention that she has a kid from somewhere, not the father, most of the time the mother. And I'm telling you from it, I've spoken to women who they'll tell you that is their mother-in-laws to be that will say no. You get me? So you're going to have widen the selection pool. You go on as many dates, everybody that says yes. And then also try to ensure you do not get pregnant again for anyone.
Very important.
This is practical advice. It's not spiritual. Do you understand me? I hope I do not. I hope you don't feel exposed. Have I exposed you?
No.
You get me? So we'll do that. So, and then we'll talk off the show because there's some other things that I probably won't talk to you about on the show. But I feel that I would have to ask you personal questions that you won't be comfortable discussing here beyond what you have shared. All right? So thank you very much for sharing that.